You have to learn to shut up. Yeah.
Why?
No, but look. I mean,
How do you know we're even in that? You can see it? Oh,
Yeah.
the top, okay, yeah.
we need zoos.
Yeah, well, of course we do, to put people in, actually, and let the animals roam free. Because the greatest zoo in the world, to me, is watching humans. You know, I love Costco for that. And plus, I love watching the good stuff, too. But humans at Walmart and Costco and on, you watch YouTube, and all stupid things that people do. And they, yeah, I did that once and stuff like that. Just wonderful, watching all that shit. I love this electronic age and that. I just hiding from it, though, upstairs, and me and the dog and my mom.
You have the little store in a little village. Now that's gone. It went to a mall, and the mall is going to be gone, and it's going to be online shopping only.
Yeah.
There'll be no more employees, no more working.
Well, it's past its time. Buggy whips and spats and that. It's called evolution in a way. Businesses evolve. Human interaction evolves. The human race is evolving as slowly, as socially, as well as physically. But it's going to take a while till we evolve into a round ball with a single digit to punch, like that. But we will evolve into that because that's about the only organs we use. And we'll roll around and go and poke things.
At Walmart, I mean, us, when we grew up, when we went to the store.
Oh, it's going to die. Oh, of course.
A Tide laundry detergent was, I don't know, $7, $8 bucks.
I love that.
And now it's $2. You can just imagine how they were making, how much money they were making.
It was.
With us.
But the whole zoo was free, and it was free. I didn't even have to pay to get in. Because when I go to a city that's got a zoo, I go to see the animals because I feel so sorry for them kind of circling around. And to watch an elephant, repetitive stuff, it shows they're going crazy in there. When really they've got the wrong animals in there. Humans should be in there pacing around, going nuts in a cell rather than out here going nuts where they think they're free.
But it would be crazy. It would be chaos to have humans in the same cage.
Well, so they'll settle things out and one or two will emerge. And they may end up being a better part of the species. I don't know, we're not doing too good so far. You look at the history of humanity, at least as long as men have run things, you've had nothing but wars and slaughter and killing. And the men are still running things and they're still having wars and slaughter and killing. And it's awful. I mean, I think it's time to give women the chance, I'd like to see them. I mean, they can be so goddamn more vicious than a male, but they at least will settle things.
Yes, you look at, what's her name there, the native girl, give Trudeau a hard time. The former attorney
Yeah, well, that's
general.
all right, but
and she went by the rules. Those are the rules. I'm not going to interfere. Those are the rules.
Good, she should have, because Justin went by the rules too, and the rules were okayed by both parties. And what there is here is a tempest, not even a teapot. It's about nothing. And the only problem we're getting now in New Brunswick, I noticed with both of the newspapers, which are identical with each other, the op-ed pages are from pages from the Post out of Toronto. And the Post is the Canadian equivalent of Fox News. It is so goddamn Tory as to be repugnant. And all the bad news, it looks like, oh my God, Justin's having this wrong. No, we're just getting the shit from the Tories because they're repeating the Post stories here. And I'm just revolted by it. I'd rather just watch the comics and no bits, the only interesting parts in the paper. Sports are gone to shit.
CNN or Fox, what do you watch?
I don't watch either one of them because CNN is just opinion. We have A and we have B. A is 99% and B is 0.00% because it happens to be Republican. These two are I and these two are an A, and let's equally argue here. What a bunch of bullshit. It's an opinion. I get my opinion. It's a hell of a lot better than theirs. I don't need CNN to tell me anything. I got sources of news, and I compare them, and I find out what the truth is, as close to the truth as I can get.
How come we don't have no more
That's my job.
How come we don't have no more talk shows here?
I don't know. Well, because everything went digitalized and everything is done in one central room, like everything is made in one big factory in China, and just people are at the end of the line stamping their nameplate on it. And that's what's happening. Knowledge is all over the place.
Do you read other people's Facebook? Or you?
No, I got off that. It was November, the day after November the 8th. I didn't want to hate my family and hate my friends and hate any human being, so I got off Facebook so I wouldn't have to listen to their Jesus quotes and their kitten pictures and their Trump shit. I didn't need it, and I didn't need anybody imposing on my space, but it was self-imposed, so I self-out-imposed it.
So Trump is going to be impeached?
I don't give a shit.
You don't give a shit.
I
I don't give a
even
shit
talk,
either.
Don't talk his name, because that means he exists, and he doesn't really.
Why
He's the only human in this whole world that is on the negative side. I had some buttes over there in court, but I never saw as negative a human being as that asshole and his minions. And the problem that comes from having a narcissist, which is a guy who's totally in love with himself, and it's an empty love affair because there's nothing there. But he cannot stand, and this is the only thing that's saving us now, he cannot stand to have anybody around him that is smarter than him or able to do anything better than him. And that's an awful small gene pool when you're looking. And he has to come up with the stupidest dumb assholes in order to have his minions around, so that he can tell them what to do, because he cannot allow an intelligent person there.
No.
And Fox is right up his ass.
Yeah.
Now, who needs it? I don't need that shit.
No.
That's not even opinion. That is just god-awful propaganda. It's a state-run propaganda machine. It's just as bad as the Nazis got with Goebbels and that crew. You know? But the people here, they don't know anything about that shit. They've forgotten all that.
What bothers me, like I said, they say money, money. I said, well, okay, like, do you think healthcare workers, they want more money?
Yeah.
And they should have more money.
Of course.
But we could give a language commissioner $750,000.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Not your money.
And
Not my money.
what is it?
Belongs to the person that earns it. That's what redistribution is. You know, people have talents, and the government hires them to use those talents to supposedly help the masses, which are us. They hire people that can grade, you know, road grade in the wintertime and keep the snow, and so we can get to work, and it works. And they spend good money on that stuff, and they pay good salaries to people.
Explain to me, the New Brunswick Human Rights Commission, out of the coal shelter, they had a building right beside them, and on a Thursday night it had to be rezoned, and then they kicked the port out. But the New Brunswick Human Rights Commission never said a word. But if you fly a straight pride flag in Chipman, oh my God, they really voiced their opinion. They said this is not right.
Yeah.
But the poor to be kicked out on the street.
That's your job. That's for you to take umbrage for all the idiots that are being idiots. You know, you can take their side if you want, or you can be with the sensible side.
Why do we have the New Brunswick Human Rights Commission? Just to protect the government?
Because it's necessary, because in a way we are still a racist bunch of creeps, and we'll gang up on anybody as long as we can find a weakness. Humans are just as tribal as they ever were, only we're now getting civilized a bit. Canada is one of the few homogenized countries, and not homogenized totally, but that has the most ethnic diversion of any country in the world, and we're getting along quite well with it. But some of the bigots are making me ashamed to be a human.
You use the word racist, but when you're poor, you can't use the word racist. It's discrimination, it's not
so
good.
What? You can give your opinion if you got some facts to base it up. But you're racist if you're saying someone is a goddamn so-and-so with nothing to back it up. That's racist, and I don't care what you're against. It's none of your business. For a big spot of it, and I don't care what somebody says.
Now, I got to force me make a Miss Cooper there. Go on my blog for once. You'll see the video. Did you see that on top?
No, I haven't watched it for a while.
For a while. Go on Google, write bullshit. Write Charles LeBlanc, and you'll see the video. I showed up over McGinnis Cooper. They want me in court to something to settle. Did you knew Richard Scott?
Oh yeah.
How was he?
Brilliant lawyer.
Brilliant?
Yeah, he was. He was one of the few geniuses in the business.
I wonder why he came after me.
Oh, I don't know.
That's another. We're not going to talk about that here. He's
wouldn't
dead.
Be your charming
He's
personality,
dead.
or your, anything that you might have said on the city police or the city.
No. He showed up at the registrar's office when I appealed the decision.
You told me all that stuff.
I told you that stuff.
And he took against you. Yeah.
And you know what? I think, looking at it, I talked to a high-profile person, won't mention no names, and said it's very unusual for Richard Scott to act like that. And you know what? He took a stroke about a month later, and if you're close to take a heart attack, it could maybe affect your attitude, your behavior.
Now, it also could mean, Charlie, that maybe you should rethink your situation, because Richard is a very learned lawyer and is not prone to making those kinds of decisions. So until I have evidence to contrary, if I were you, in a way, I would sort of look back at my behavior to see if maybe I might have been a little off. You know, because when somebody that I respect tells me something about my behavior, I think I should take notice or I'm the loser. So maybe, I'm not saying making a judgment call one way or the other, maybe you did something that really ticked him off, you know.
It's a no-win situation.
We all have little glasses, pink ones we look through, and when we all readjust our histories to justify all the shit that we do and stuff. I try not to, but I can't help it. No.
And then I have the Rob Costello, God bless his soul, and then labeled me as a pedophile. I got two-person.
He didn't label you as anything. You labeled you as a pedophile by mentioning that Rob labeled you as a pedophile when he didn't.
I showed a piece of paper.
When he didn't label you as anything.
Investigation. But anyway, you got two guys.
There was no label.
You got two guys that's dead.
And then you became a target.
Against. And you talk about humans being animals. Why don't?
Well, we are animals.
Why don't those humans? No, but why don't those humans in that court thing? Like they could reach decisions like crazy, and you can't appeal it. You got no money. Why don't they communicate with the peasants and trying to find solutions?
Well, they do. See, what you have to do is have a lawyer like me who's crazy in there, who actually wanted to talk to people and understand the situation and try and get a message through to people who had no idea what the situation was.
But they don't.
I was the bridge. Well, they did.
Yeah.
Because I was there to let them know that there's someone here. Well, and all they need is another Danny Watters. And what the hell? I was sort of a, so what? It's just a blip.
You have your papers, you fought, you've helped a lot of people. How come we don't have no more Danny Watters around?
I don't know. Well, you have to be born at Barker's Point and kind of fight your way through and be an underdog person and just learn that humans are unfair to each other. And it's much more fun to do something about it. I didn't think I'd be able to do anything about that. I was just mad all the time until I found law. Holy crap, I was just in my element. 32 of the 34 years were wonderful.
And you were the best.
I loved it.
I know, I was a hero. I remember Dennis Melanson?
Oh, yeah.
You were on Dennis Melanson Live, and I was in St. John, and I couldn't wait to watch you as he had you as a guest. And you had that attitude, and that attitude on the talk show, but then you brought that attitude in the courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but now, if any lawyers goes against the system, they can't have future contracts for their families, provincial contract, municipal contract.
You got to,
they got to survive, so they keep their mouth shut.
Well, yeah, and that's the way of the world. I mean, you got to know in your message. I had nothing to lose, see, because everything was in my wife's name. And I had people that would help me. I had friends that had pools and sailboats and stuff like that, and vacation cottages. And I didn't need any of that shit, so I didn't need the money, and my decisions didn't have to make money. I just loved being in there somewhere where I belonged. It was so nice after 30 years of being on this earth to find a place where you belong, and it was just such a revelation. I'm in here, bang.
And you did well. And now you got summary assault, summary sexual assault. That's for, number one, you don't have the right to a lawyer. Legal aid will not give you a lawyer. No. And number two, there's no preliminary hearing to find out there's enough evidence to proceed to trial. Yep. They force you to plead guilty.
You got to pay for that assorted stroke where you shouldn't have stroked. Put your hand where it doesn't belong. I mean, the human male is probably one of the most vile creatures amongst vile creatures. Yet I see them, the only ones at the dog park that make nuisance of themselves are the males. And most of them are fixed. But they don't know that. And there they are, humping the females, and the females looking at them like, are you serious? But that's just like humans, We can be gelded, every single one of us, and we'll be out there trying to hump a hostess. It doesn't matter. That's what we were put on earth for. We were evolved to vary the DNA. The sex that started was female. And then we evolved as a male to vary DNA so the human species wouldn't die, from the same disease. And that was our shtick for being here. And that's it. That's why the males are so stupid.
But what about the innocent? Charged with summary. Innocent. Don't have the right to a lawyer.
There's no such thing as innocent, So what? I mean, it's a system and you got to pay for it.
Like me, I was charged with summary assault.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I had to go to a trial, no right to a lawyer. I had my supporters send me about $4,000 or $5,000.
That's it. Costs. That's one of the inequities of the system.
So how many other people they charge with summary that's forced to pay.
But that's what happens when you live in a poor province. 800,000 people here. We don't have enough tax base to pay for the police and the hospitals and the road stuff and the stuff that we do get. We get over what our tax base can supply to the government. We're lucky to get the shit that we do get. We're a poor province and a have-not province, and we're still living on Alberta oil.
And they shut down the project to build a new courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
So
big
what
thing.
happens? Yeah, because they're going to run a budget, which is stupid because Gallant had it right, spend money. But that's just an opinion on that stuff, and the Tories think that if you don't spend money, if you screw weak people, then that might work. And
They
it
should
doesn't.
they should have a provincial jail here in Fredericton.
No, they don't need a jail, period. Because the stupidest thing we do is lock humans in a room and tell them to start behaving themselves. What a bunch of idiocy. Hand them $50. None of them, most of them couldn't steal enough to cover the 50.
How do you deal with people with mental illness?
Well, you should really have a whole ton of counseling and open up some offices to help them instead of marginalizing them and make them walk the streets and put them in jails. This is what we do.
I'll use a name.
That is one negative I'll say about this is the mental health problem in this province. But it's not being looked at again because there's nothing in the budget. You have to get tons of money. And you have people like Higgs who wants to balance the budget like you do in a house in here, And there's no such thing as a budget when you're the government because the government prints the money and the government tells what that money is worth. And the government is the one that should be taking care of all this shit and spreading the wealth around.
You have a person that has mental issues, anger issues and
Yeah.
everything, and let's say see somebody, punch him in the head, put them in jail for 2 years, comes out of there, punch him in the head again, another 3 years.
Yeah.
Shouldn't this person be put in a mental institution? It's going to get worse when you come out of a provincial jail.
He's in a mental institution. That's what the prisons are, and that's what they become. It is a total mental institution. And in some way, the inmates do run it, and the way the guards have to have walls between them and the inmates because they're so dangerous. They just do nothing but create subhuman beings because they're treated like subhumans, and they give back in kind. And that's what we're fostering by the entire prison system. Waste of money.
Are inmates worse attitude-wise now than they were 30, 40 years ago?
No, they're making progress like everything else. It's evolving slowly but surely. They had the whip when I started practice. They only got rid of hanging when I was a kid here, and stupid stuff like that. So no, it's incrementally getting better as humans smarten up, and it'll come back.
Can I come here at the end of June and visit you for coffee?
Yeah, you can come to the birthday party July 2nd.
Whose birthday?
Mom's birthday is the 101st is on the 2nd of July. And we'll have a little barbecue going here and some music
Thank you.
and celebrate.